Hey, this is Doug Small with Project Praise Thought for Today. Yesterday we were talking about knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Knowledge is what? It's something God says to you, and it requires obedience. You have to put your faith into action. And when you do, God will often give you a second step. And you begin to get something beyond knowledge. You begin to get understanding. You begin to learn how to walk in the Spirit, how to obey God. And when you got a number of these hows around your belt, then all of a sudden you begin to have these aha moments where you understand the wisdom of God. And it's completely different than the wisdom of the world. It's so difficult sometimes to take the first step. It's like it's like stepping out of the boat with Peter and walking on the water. I wish I was younger. Well, I don't think I'd have the nerve to do this, but I admire hang gliders who just step off the edge of a cliff and trust the wind. That's a bit what God's asking us to do. He's asking us to step off into nothingness and trust the wind of the Holy Spirit. And God will give us grace to do what we could not otherwise do, because grace is the empowering of the Holy Spirit to meet a need, to do what I can't, I can't do. Greg Manali said, the dullness that overshadows passive people who don't act out their faith, is increased. The dullness is increased by the mounting number of times that we do not respond to the promptings of God. Only 2% of Americans now share their faith, but the Holy Spirit is urging all of us to do it all the time. We're not living out the implications of our faith, but the Holy Spirit is urging us to do it all the time. We're not radically obeying God, but the Holy Spirit is urging us all the time. We fear the peer pressure. We fear the rejection of the culture, but the Holy Spirit is urging us all the time to follow Him and not be bound by the peer pressure and group think around us. If you look at the boldness of the woke people, the boldness of so many others in the culture, and then you look at the dullness, what Greg calls the dullness of Christians, and our keeping silent and our being intimidated, you can kind of see where this thing is going. God, give us the grace to believe that if I'll take the first step in following you, you will empower me by grace. Let's just make this clear. We're not talking about in-your-face Christianity. We're talking about boldness tethered to gentleness and boldness tethered to humility. I'll tell you again what I said yesterday. You'll never understand the ways of God until you act in faith and simply step out and obey Him. That may be making a phone call. That may be going to see the mayor. It may be going to see the governor. It may be going to see the richest person in your community. It may be going to see the number one first-class center you have, and being a friend to them and loving them and developing a relationship with them, so that on that relational bridge, you could at some point deliver the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. There's so many people in the world that don't have friends. So many people on the left that don't have friends on the right, and so many of us on the right that don't have friends on the left. We're polarized by race. We're polarized by class. We're polarized by our political ideologies. And God is telling us we have to be salt and light, not just in this corner, but to the city. And that requires a level of boldness. It means that we have to hear God and obey. And when we do that, spiritual understanding intensifies, and so does the wisdom of following God. Father, I just pray for me that you would help me to be a bolder person, because if there's ever been a time that this nation needs godly, bold, humble, gentle people who nevertheless do not mince words, and speak truth to power. It's now. It's today. God bless you. Have a great day.
Behind me is the mural of Dr. Graham's Seoul, Korea crusade, conducted 49 years ago this week. And now, the grandchildren of those impacted by that crusade are coming to America to pray for another spiritual awakening here. They'll go to cities across the nation, from coast to coast, border to border. They're coming. They're coming to give this nation the gift of prayer, praying, believing, hoping that America, which has been a beacon of light and hope in the world, will experience another great awakening. Teams will be near Seattle, in Los Angeles, near the site of the Azusa Street Revival, in Miami, in Bangor and Holton, Maine, the four corners of the nation. Some teams will be near historic revival sites. The Anson Street Revival in the historic city of Charleston, South Carolina, Cane Ridge in Kentucky, the Shearer Schoolhouse in the Smokies, and the Sandy Creek Revival site in central North Carolina. They'll be in Chicago near Wheaton and Moody Memorial. They'll pray in Phoenix at the Dream Center Prayer Pavilion, and in Dallas in the former courtroom, now a prayer room, where Roe v. Wade was decided. They'll pray in Washington, D.C. by the special invitation of the chaplain of the United States Congress. In Dearborn, Michigan, the home to many of our Muslim friends. In the coal fields of West Virginia, and right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. As they have all over the world, these teams are coming to pray for a spiritual breakthrough, a great awakening here in this nation.